Hey crew, John G, Modern Design Aquascaping. Our team builds custom ponds, fountains, and waterfalls out of natural stone and wood. My goal, educate and inspire the entire planet about ponds and water features. Today's video, you're gonna join Tristan out on a job site where he visited over a year ago, had tons of issues with leaking. Super technical project. He's gonna share a ton of information with you guys about what they did and how they go with the flow on a project that has to be done entirely by hand, no access for equipment. And they build a beautiful water feature on a slope like this with nothing but the ball cart. Guys, stay tuned. It's valuable, it's informational, and most of all, at the end, it is absolutely gorgeous. Hashtag Proud Papa, stay tuned.
So we are doing a complete blowout and renovation on this thing. We're busting out this block wall that I'm sitting on. We're taking out pavers and patio stones so that we can get power and plumbing and everything run over there. So we've got leaks going all up through the sides of the stream. We've already diagnosed we've got leaks in the plumbing. We've got a reservoir that's too small. And fortunately for us, there is no possible way to get a machine back here. So we've got to do every single part of this project by hand. Thus the trusty ball cart to my right. That's what we've got going on. So we gotta start off by busting all of this stuff out of here. Luckily the stream's mortared together. That'll make it so much easier for us in the long run because we're gonna have to sledgehammer everything out of there before we haul it out by hand and put it into our dump truck by hand and bring all of our materials in by hand and rebuild this by hand and dig this hole by hand. So that being said, fortunately I have a lot of energy right now and I'm about to get started on this thing. So you guys stay tuned. Tristan, out. You guys? Alright guys, I want to share with you what we have found so far. So there's all kinds of madness going through here. We already have this pipe, which is sleeved all the way to the power unit on the other side of the patio, which hopefully we can re-tie into this system so that we don't ever have to tear up more of the patio. We can ignore that part. This is our old plumbing line. This one is a conduit fed in for a lighting system, and this one is an autofill line that we found. Shortly after starting, this bulkhead is a mystery to me still. I don't know if it was supposed to be an overflow that got capped off because they didn't have enough water to run it when they fired it up because there's not enough in here, or what. But there was literally only 3 small aqua blocks in here, and those of you who know aqua blocks, those things are less than 20 gallons a piece of water storage. So having 3 of those in a vault in here, we're literally looking at probably less than 100 total gallons. And if you run your water in motion calculator, which if you don't know how to calculate your water in motion and you're curious, there will be a link right up here somewhere where you can follow and you can actually calculate how much water and motion you have in your future. But that does not mesh up with having less than 100 gallons down here, and a 12-foot stream with a 5,000 gallon per hour pump is absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous, guys. So what we found now that we're in here is even in this circle, now that we busted out the soldier course is actually just the outside run of the pavers that were on this side that were elevated. We have talked to the homeowner and we've decided to leave the soldier course out of the equation. So we already have these nice, perfectly round cut pavers, but we now have 6 inches further all the way around this thing, except for on this side, where we can actually expand the size of this reservoir. So not only are we coming in with large aqua blocks, which are capable of storing 35 gallons of water apiece, and we're gonna have 6 of those things in here, we're gonna be at like a 250-ish gallon reservoir by the time we get done, which is much more what you're looking for coming with a feature of this size. So yeah, we're actually leaving those out. We're gonna haul all of these motor covered stones off in our dump truck and go dump them in a hole somewhere. And we're actually going to excavate further all the way around now that we have it. And the design has already changed slightly. So a lot of the time the design will change during the course of the project. And now being able to expand and get that soldier course down to actual patio level, what we're gonna do is we're probably gonna end up having a nice piece of driftwood tying into this wall after we bust all this stuff out. Cut these guys to where it fits right up next to the piece of driftwood, all super nice, to where it looks like it was built up to the tree instead. And then what we're gonna do on this front end, we're gonna have all kinds of rocks and stuff bordering it, low-lying, not to stun the view from inside the viewing area, because the higher you have stuff in front of here, the less you're gonna be able to see of the coolness factor in this reservoir. And then we're probably gonna have a little beach area right here in the front, so it's a literal zero edge, so to speak, coming right off the patio, sloping down into the reservoir to open up the view of this very last waterfall. So we're literally a half a day into here, hammering, chiseling away, trying not to break windows, so we're using the baby sledgehammer instead of the big one. Because yeah, that would be the easy way to do it, but sometimes it's not the right way to do it. Most of the time when it's the easy way, probably ain't the right way. So yeah, I guess we're ready to start tearing this stuff up, find out what's in this bulkhead, and get to dig in after we haul out some stuff. So. He's a really squirrely little dude. So squiggly. It's so cute. Found him. Yep. Did you hear him? All right, guys, so I wanted to give you an update on where we're at. We got everything torn out. We've got our nice soldier course cut here, and that's really what we were looking for. Originally, we had that taller soldier course that stepped us in another 6 inches all the way around. We decided to change that because we can actually fit our 6 aqua blocks in here flatways. What we were going to have to do, working within the footprint we had to get 6 large blocks, was go too deep, and that would have been a 4 foot deep plus hole. It would have literally been like 50 inches deep, which is crazy. We're gonna try to avoid that. So we've agreed, talked to the homeowner. It's okay that we leave this last soldier course out so there's no elevation. We've changed some design, and we are finally on to the digging phase of this project, which is really nice dirt, actually. Surprisingly, it wasn't full of a bunch of crush except for this corner. So we found the drain that's behind the wall over here. We're just gonna tamp dirt and stuff over that because this pipe is slotted. It's going to drain other places, and we would prefer if it didn't drain directly under our reservoir. That is a kind of negatory thing. So we got a lot to dig in this entire area, but really we're just trying to maximize our space because we noticed we've already dug quite a bit. We've got a bunch of dirt already out. Sorry. You would have seen it. You can check it out earlier in the video, but we had like 6 to 10 inches, depending on where you were, all the way around, of utilizable space that was not utilized. So what we're going to do is we're going to shave all the way around that outside, really get as much utilizable water storage as we possibly can. And hopefully when we get done with this thing, with our 6 inches of gravel on top of our block, 6 inches of water on top of there, if my mathematical equations serve me right, we're gonna be closer to 300 gallons of a reservoir in this thing, and that's gonna be sweet. So over here, we've got these block wall sections. So you can see we're actually done tearing this stuff out. We're not gonna pull any more of these guys out. We're gonna build up through here. Our patio level is coming in 1 paver width higher than this block right here. So we're actually gonna pile dirt on top of this stuff after we get backfilled on this side. Make sure we got dirt and stuff covering all this, because last thing you want is to start building right at the very bottom of your waterfall where it matters the most and put a hole because you're building against a block wall. So we're gonna make sure we got dirt and geo piled up nice on this stuff. Make sure our liner's safe so we can start our excavation. Come in somewhere in here with a waterfall. That's where our first one's gonna be to break this height. And then we're gonna get very creative with tying into this wall. So we're really hoping that we can utilize a piece of driftwood on one side and actually have it to where it's like, it looks like the wall was built straight up to this tree that used to be there and it died and it's stump's still there. You guys are gonna see that take place, but right now, I just want to share with you guys because we're about to get on to the fun part, which is digging. right, guys, so I just wanted to share with you what we found. So far, we have pretty much everything we need for a functional reservoir in this hole without tearing up any patio. So I just want to show you guys, we've got this little line right here. This is the autofill valve. There's a box out by the street with a ball valve that we found that controls this autofill line. We've got this conduit sleeved in, which is actually going over to the power to run lighting cords through, so we can actually get a lighting system in this thing without having to tear up patio. This guy is where our pump cord goes through that leads straight to the outlet where we can fish through a string and pull through our pump cord when we get done, so we don't have to tear up patio for that. This is just the old plumbing, which is irrelevant, but really, we just had this concreted bulkhead in here, which we carefully busted the concrete out. We still got our intact pipe, and we shoved the hose in this thing and let it run for about 5 minutes, and finally found where it comes out at the end of the street, where the culvert pipe goes. So this ties into something out there, and this is a functional overflow. So we're gonna be able to cut this guy back, bulkhead it through our liner, get that guy nice and snug, and bring the overflow up to wherever it actually needs to be for us to have a functional overflow. So we have successfully diagnosed that we have everything we need to not have to blow up this patio, and that is awesome. So it would have been pretty funny if we would have just not checked for these things. So doing the diagnostics, getting as torn out as you can down to bare ground, and actually finding out what all the random things coming into the future are is a really good idea sometimes, because our original plan was to have to pull up this entire section of pavers in this patio and to have to install all of these pipes, because you can see that these things were in here. You had no idea until you started tearing the stuff out, busting out a bunch of concrete work, because I don't know how they planned on ever getting to these things or replacing the pump, because we literally had to chisel all of these out of the concrete. So tell me how that's gonna work. It was a great idea. Now that we've got it busted free of the concrete and we don't have any of that stuff to worry about, we can re-hide these when we get done, re-tie them in. We're gonna have an auto filler system, conduit for our lighting, an auto filler, I think I already said that, and we've got the spot for our pump cord to go through and a functional overflow. That could not have turned out any better. Thank you. So yeah, that is amazing. So we literally went from tearing up, expanding the patio to just blowing up the footprint, not having to tear up any patio to make the reservoir bigger, and we don't have to tear up any patio to get any of this stuff through there, and that's awesome. That's super awesome. All we gotta do is dig and build. I like that. Let's go. Game on. Woo! 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 It's warm out here. All right, so we got most of our digging done, so we marked everything out in here. We got what we're pretty sure is a good footprint. So one of the things we really like to do before you put the liner in, before you get everything all nice and ready and you throw your aqua blocks in, so we're gonna take these aqua block panels before they're even assembled. We're gonna throw them in here just to make sure everything lays out the way it was supposed to. We call it the dry fit, so that you don't have the hassle of having to pull out your liner, pull out your geotextile, all that crazy stuff. And you know, it's just kind of a safety measure. So talk about saving time. We're gonna lay these guys in here, get them how they're actually gonna go, make sure they actually fit in the hole before we get all that other stuff in there. And you know, we still have to dig our boot hole, but just wanted to share that little tidbit with you guys. So when you're building, maybe that's something you could incorporate if you want. If not, whatever, it's fine. It's just what we do. It's our thing. B-roll. All right, fellas, so this is what we've got. This turned out so much better than we could have ever hoped, because we didn't have to tear out anything but the soldier course on this patio, which is just the tall outside layer. And we got our whole reservoir in. We're looking at roughly 275 to 300 gallons, which is 6.5 times more than we had to start with. Wild, mind-boggling. So what we have in here, we've got a lighting wire conduit that feeds through from that side. We've got an overflow conduit that actually works. We got the, we busted the float, but they make new ones. We're gonna get one. and we're gonna tie this guy back in here. So really what we do with the overflow, everything getting tied into this corner, is just a bunch of technical crap that has to be done before we can start the fun stuff, which is the rocking. So we got our rocks this morning. We loaded up our boulders, and I know this is hand built, but having some that probably shouldn't be set by hand is really a good way to set things apart. So, you know, instead of using these all basketballs and all smaller stuff you can pick up and chuck into place and have everything stacked, we may or may not have loaded up a couple multi-100-pound rocks, some pushing closer to the 500 to 600-pound range, that are going to be down here to create the canvas for this giant waterfall. Because we really don't want this waterfall to be all the way up at the top where it was, because that leaves like this much liner above water level, and that's a no-go because liner does settle. But yeah, so we're gonna come in with these giant framers off into here, try and cut our waterfall shelf down a bit so that we can get safe amount of freeboard, which is just liner above water level, those of you who don't know. Try and get a safe amount of that before we can start working our way up the hill. Also with a beautiful piece of driftwood to tie into this wall and make it look like the wall was built right up to the piece of cedar. This area is going to turn out so sweet. So we're gonna start off, get all these technicalities out of the way, and we are going to start rocking. That's what we've got for today. So right on, let's go. Hey guys, just wanted to share with you a little bit about this. So this is an interesting project because very rarely these days do we actually have to build stuff by hand. It is definitely the harder way to do things, and you can't really get the magnitude and the scale when you have smaller rocks. So one of the difficulties about this is we're working on a really steep incline. As you can see, we're actually climbing 7 feet from patio level over a 12-foot run. So every 2 feet you go, you're going up just over a foot. And having these hand-built stones, you know, they only get so tall, you know, unless you pillar stack them, and those don't generally look natural if they're all stood up very long ways instead of, you know, sideways looking like they fell down and they were in there. So what we've had to do in here is we came in, we chopped all of these shelves into here because I think we only had like 4 waterfalls at first, and they were all really tall, really sheeting waterfalls, made flagstone. It was just like sheet of glass. And for me personally, sheet of glass after sheet of glass is a very unnatural look. So unless you just have an ungodly amount of water flow, making everything look like sheet falls and it's just a great volume of water, that you can get away with. But in a scenario like this, we really wanted to come in here, chop all these shelves, have a bunch of different elevations. I haven't counted them up yet, but you can see how many waterfalls we're going to have. Some of these stones on the sides, what we're using, we got some bigger ones that are out front that we brought because we're gonna try and incorporate those guys in here so it's not all basketball size rocks, but that's mostly what we're gonna be looking at is these smaller rocks. And to make this look natural, you really have to do a lot of terraforming, quote, dirt work, chopping into the dirt, making this all nice and level. And we are just going to have craziness going on in here. So now that we're finally shelved out, we're ready for our geo, we're ready for our liner getting in here, and then it's really just gonna be a free canvas to work with. So these shelves might not actually even be the way the water falls when we get done. We might decide to bring some stones out in this direction and further back in here and cause water to go this way and crash back and forth and have different little pitchers and trickles going everywhere. This is going to be very dramatic of a series of waterfalls through here. And that's really the big kicker for this thing is, like I said, we don't build by hand a lot anymore. We always try and get our machines, even for some of the pondlesses on the YouTube videos that hopefully you guys have been staying tuned for. Even on the smaller scale pondlesses, we've been using like 1,000-pound rocks because it's like, whoa, that's a crazy statement. A lot of the time when you see geysers and stuff in nature, you see these little natural spring-fed things coming out of the ground. They're not just rocks that are all this big. There's some really big ones in there. Thus, the struggle we had for that giant framing rock in the very bottom. We knew that we would have one opportunity to get a really big hand set stone in here. And we've got like that 600-pounder that's framing in the bottom down there. And then really we're just gonna try our best to tie everything in here and safely get some slightly larger stones up in here, but nothing like we've got down there. So stay tuned, this hand-built madness is about to ensue. We're finally there, beautiful weather, beautiful day, time to get rocking. I'm out of here, gotta stop talking. This has been very interesting so far. So we've noticed one of the biggest struggles about this project, not only is it hand built, so yes, it's a lot of physical work, that's not a big deal, but tying into these walls has been crazy nonetheless, you know, to say the least. But what we've got in here, we've got all kinds of foamed little pools and stuff where we're keeping the water from going this way. We've got our reservoir liner with our stream liner overlap. We're keeping all that stuff in, and that is completely fine on that level. But we've got these little pockets and stuff that we actually have pads of ground cover we salvaged from the tear out, and we are going to naturalize all these little meetings and all these spots in the walls with the ground covers coming in. So that is going to be sweet, helping that. But one of the biggest challenges we're having up here in this area is really we've got some super tall walls, and building this thing by hand, you know, not every stone can be this giant one that I'm sitting on right here, because we can't get them up there by hand safely. And if you can't do it safely, you probably shouldn't do it at all, if you ask in my opinion. But coming up into this area, we have stones where, looking from the viewing area, this looks like a beautiful, nice big rock. It's got a nice face, a big footprint. But when you look from a bird's eye view, most of these stones that we have in here are actually only this thick front to back, and they're leaned in kind of against the wall, but they just have the right kind of face on them that makes them look like a bigger stone than they actually are. So a lot of people, when they're building in this aspect, they're gonna have rocks that are pillars stood up kind of like this, but they don't look right. And I don't know how to explain how they look right or not, but if you see them in nature, they've got a specific way about them most of the time. And having a rock that's, you know, this big around, standing up this tall, a lot of the time it doesn't look correct. I don't know how to put it. It's kind of an artistic thing to be able to look at these guys and know which face is the face. What side is going to actually be able to look natural when it is stood up thin ways, because that's the last thing you want, is to come in here for a hand-built project trying to naturalize something and make it look like every stone was stood up crazy weird looking. So that's been one of the biggest challenges we've had, is making sure we've got the right stones to be able to stand them up tall ways. We loaded up another load of those guys this morning. They're coming in via ball cart and Cody right behind you guys, and we are ready to get rocking on this thing. So I'm super excited to see how all this madness turns out, because we've got some really nice shape, even working within the existing footprint that we have that is taken in here, and we are ready to keep rocking and rolling. There is going to be an immense amount of detail work in this thing when we get done. Even though it looks like we've rocked up half this thing, we've only done half the work of this portion. So once we finish rocking all that stuff, we're probably gonna spend equally as much time, you know, another entire full day going through here, because you've got all these little stones. It's not just little cracks and stuff you've got to foam up and seal to get the water to go over. You've got the cracks through here and all through here, behind every little stone and in every little nook and cranny. You're gonna lose a lot of foam in this thing, making sure the water goes the way that you want it to go. And it just, you know, it's all in the detail, guys. I say it all the time. Detail work will make or break your water feature, and how natural and how good it looks, how functional it is during the outcome. So I'm gonna get to work. Nothing is happening, but I'm glad you guys are getting it. Game on. All right, so I just wanted to share with you guys, we're up towards the headwaters here. We're finally making it happen. We're almost out of rocks and our selection is growing very thin. So a lot of these, like I was talking about earlier, we've got them stood upright so that we can get as much tallness and length out of them as we can, trying to retain these giant tall walls up here. But really, when you look from that bird's eye view, this stone right here is this thick from front to back on the top, and it's like this thick on the bottom. So it gives it some good stability. But we were flipping it around, trying to make it work in here, trying to find a nice meeting kind of up to the stairs, and nothing was working. So I turned this thing upside down, and it slid down into this hole, and I noticed something that could be potentially awesome. So this is the middle rock for what was going to be a split falls. So we've got water coming through here, and we've got water, can I get on there? Coming through here, down here, see my fingies? No? Okay, so it's coming through here. We wanted to really make it kind of fall in on itself from both sides and at different elevations. So what we had right here, actually now, instead of having the visible water off to this side, where it's just gonna be ripping around that corner, you're gonna see the stream coming through this section, falling down off this area, and then we're gonna foam this thing up back here in such a way that the water actually goes underneath of this rock and comes out to where it looks like you almost used a baby spillway or an extra, headwater starting point. So you're not really gonna even be able to tell that the water is going under this stone probably, but looking from down there, it's gonna look like literally this waterfall starts on this side, and then you have another waterfall that's coming down, and this is where it joins up. It is going to be crazy. A lot of detail work, a lot of foaming, a lot of finagling, but we are going to make this happen, and it's gonna be sweet. I have nowhere to run or I would escape this video. All right, guys, so that brings us to the end of what has been an absolutely amazing project. We're in here 5 days, 1 week, 2.5 guys. I say that because we had 3 guys for 3 days and 2 guys for 3 days. It's big mix match, but this was a 1 week gig, all done the hard way. So everything dug by hand, hauled in by hand, hauled out by hand. And it has been amazing. The way that this stuff turned out in here, some of my favorite things about this entire feature are tied into this block wall. And yes, we did actually cut these guys to fit right up nice and tight against some of our framing rocks. And man, this thing just turned out better than I could ever hope. That's awesome. We've got like 15 different variations, types of waterfalls. We've got white water, we've got sheep falls, we got split falls. We had a double split falls with water coming out from underneath the rock. I mean, who does that? It's freaking awesome. So I hope you guys have enjoyed watching us do everything the hard way. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, follow our stuff, because you'll be getting a lot more stuff like this. Hopefully just not hand built. It hurts. It hurts out here. So I'm out. You guys enjoy this beautiful day. I'm gone. Later. Catch you next time. Goodbye. Goodbye. Leatherman. What am I going to talk about? How about a Leatherman? You recording?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't make it this far, guys. Didn't think about what I was going to talk about. Stuff, rocks, waterfalls, hand-built, challenges.